No more staying up past midnight and waking up at 10 a.m. School's about to start, and it's time to get kids' sleeping habits back in gear. Thanks for staying with us. I'm Tamsen Fidel.
And I'm Erin LeBeau. So we all know that sleep is crucial to kids' physical and mental health. And with the first day of school right around the corner, family needs to transition back to early mornings to make sure everyone gets off on a right start.
Yeah, sleep experts and psychotherapist Heather Turgeon and Julie Wright wrote a book on getting kids to sleep with Generation Sleepless, and they're joining us now with some tips for you if you're trying to get back to school and get that sleep back as well. Welcome to both of you. Nice to see you.
Thank you. Nice to see you again.
Thanks for having us.
Well, Heather, let's start with you. Why do parents need to prepare kids' sleep for school, and when is a good time to actually get started on that?
Yeah, it's a great thing to think about because summer sleep can get a little loose, right? We do go to bed later. Kids, especially teens, tend to go to bed a lot later in the summer. We also see more school-age children with some anxiety around sleep as the summer is winding down and school is starting. So it's a really good thing to think about because we know how foundational sleep is to mental health. It can as much as reduce the risk of mental health by a half. And it's so important to retaining information and learning. So it's extremely important to school, but summer does tend to make us a little loose about sleep. So this is a perfect time to be getting back to good sleep habits.
Okay, so Julie, how many hours are we talking about of sleep that kids actually need to be getting every night?
Yes. Well, school-age children need about 10 to 11 hours, and middle schoolers need about 9. And high schoolers actually need between 9 and 10, which is shocking to most parents. But because most are only getting between 6 and 7, we call 8 adequate because we'd actually be thrilled if teenagers, especially high schoolers, were actually getting, 8 hours of sleep would be wonderful.
Well, so Heather, what are some tips to turn your night owl teen into an early bird for the school year?
Well, the way that we like to describe this to families is that most people focus on bedtime, try to get to bed earlier, We actually have families focus on wake-up time because you can control wake-up time and it's much more powerful to your overall regulation of sleep and it's much more powerful to your brain clock. So picking your wake-up time, knowing what it's going to be for school and working your way towards that and including the weekends. So not sleeping in too much, getting your wake-up time on track will actually help you fall asleep more easily at night. It's absolutely key to falling asleep. So we have families develop morning rituals where they go outside for 5 to 10 minutes. We want teenagers especially to get 5 or 10 minutes of morning sun because it presses go on the internal clock. It makes their melatonin rise later in the evening when they need to fall asleep. So we're really working with the brain clock. And then another thing we have people do is we always hear from people that they're taking away technology to try to get good habits in place, but we also want to think about what are we adding to bedtime routines? What does your teen or school-age kid look forward to and how can you add that in? Is it playing cards? Is it walking the dog, writing in a journal? So, think about the things that are fun to add in instead of just trying to take technology away.
So I have to say, I love the illustration on the cover of the book with the kid's head just down on his desk napping. But Julie, walk us through why is it so important for kids to get enough sleep?
Yes, well, we think of sleep as an essential building block literally to every aspect of life, and we don't have time to list all of those here. But when you think of kids going back to school, 2 things come to mind. One is their mental health, as Heather mentioned. Even 30 minutes more sleep a night lowers kids' risk of depression and anxiety. Good sleep puts a positive filter on life, and kids who sleep well see the world through more positive, capable, and creative eyes. Sleep is also essential for learning. Well-slept brains open up like sponges to absorb information, and sleep gives kids the ability to focus, to pay attention, and this way the information is transferred into long-term memory so they retain it better.
All right, well, hard to believe that, summer is almost over, Heather, but the first few weeks can be really stressful for kids adjusting to these new sleep times, classes, homework, summer's gone. How do parents try and manage that without losing sleep?
Yeah, I think paring down is a good thing to do as the summer is winding down and school is starting. Try not to overschedule, resist the urge to add things in and more celebrate more and do more sleepovers and all that and like cram it all in at the end of the summer. Think about paring down. What are the things that really are essential to do, and try to relax into it and try to shift your morning wake up time and bedtime gradually, so that you're getting in the sync, in the flow of that new routine as the summer is winding down, instead of scrambling towards the end and then trying to, shift everything all at once.
Okay, so a final question for both of you before we let you go. Let's say that a child has back to school jitters the night before the first day and they're having trouble kind of falling asleep. So what can parents do to kind of help them through that process? Let's start with you, Julie.
Yes, there are many tools that kids can use, and it will depend on your individual child. Some kids really like to do like breathing exercises or relaxation exercises. Some children prefer a passive distraction, like listening to a semi-boring podcast or an audio book. Some kids like to write in their journal what they're worried about, and some like to talk to their parent and talk about what they're sort of nervous about.
Well, so I think it's a oh, yeah, Heather, let's get you in there before we wrap up.
Well, I think it's fun to have a family meeting about this, like a week before school starts, so that you don't feel off track and then try to get it back after school begins. So maybe if you can, in anticipation, talk about the school year starting and write down your new routines a few days before and make it more like a family meeting. That is really helpful, because we are hearing from a lot of school-age kids and middle schoolers especially who are feeling pretty anxious. And our book has a lot of tools for, like Julie said, passive distractions, new bedtime routines that we look forward to. All of that is great to talk about in the week before.
Heather, Julie, I wish I had both of you, I was going to say, when I was going to school. Thank you both for being with us. I know sleep is a super, super important topic, that's for sure. I'm sure we'll have you back.
Okay, good to see you. Thank you.
Take care. Nice to see you again.
Thank you.